What's up, everybody? Not a event related video today. We're back in the house. It's Saturday and it's nice and sunny, obviously for a winter day. So I've had a couple of jobs to do on my daily, my E46 330 diesel that I've been postponing for a while, and I think today is a perfect day to not have any excuses. I've got all the parts and stuff, or some of them at least. We might discover some more broken stuff when we get under the car and have to go and get some other things, but at the moment the plan is to give it a wash to start with and jack it up and see what we got to work with. My 330 coupe diesel, which is a machine. I've had it for 2 to 3 years now. It's never really let us down. I've had to do bits and bobs to it, mostly through me welding the diff and learning how to drift in it, braking it in that way. It's never really failed in sort of normal operation, you know, so it's an absolute tank. I really like it. These days it's my girlfriend's car, Andrea. She drives it to work and back. She does a lot of miles, and I usually either get dropped off or bring this old beast. But yeah, it's a little tired in terms of the front end. I think there's some broken things. When I was doing radiator a couple of weeks ago, I saw the anti-roll bar brackets were broken, and that's why the car always feels like the front end and the rear end are slightly disconnected. It's not the most confidence inspiring thing to drive at the moment. So I've ordered some parts and stuff, but yeah, first thing I think is to get some of this salt and grime off of it, get it washed, because it's looking quite sorry for itself. And yeah, get under the car afterwards and see what we've got to work with. It's got BC coilovers, been polybushed, so it's quite a hard chassis, and I think it's ripped off the anti-roll bar brackets because of how stiff it is. Something had to give, I guess, and some old rusty brackets were it. So I've got some replacements, and we're going to tackle that and see what else needs doing whilst we're under it. Also needs front brake pads because the warning lights come on, so we'll have to go and get some of those and get stuck in. Jet wash hooked up, move the RX-8 out of the way, letting it run because it hasn't run since the last track day video we did. I probably need to go and put this in my storage yard. Not going to do a lot to it or with it in the next few months, but I do need to investigate the oil leak it had in the last track day, see if it's something simple to fix. But for now I've tucked it out of the way and got this thing prepared. Not sure how well it shows on camera, but yeah, it's pretty dirty from all the salt and mud, because obviously we live in a little village, so let's clean her up and get up in the air.
Yo.
So it's as clean as I'm going to get it in the middle of the winter, because it's only going to get filthy again. Most of what I'm trying to do anyway is clean some of the mud off of it and the salt to try and slow down these bits of rust until I can be bothered to fix them. To be honest, I need to strip that back and protect it, get it to good metal. It was pretty good when we got it, but over the last 2 or 3 years of just abuse in the English roads, it's starting to show a bit of the usual bubbling in these E46s and just cars in general in England. But yeah, she's pretty good. So that's that done. It's somewhat clean, so I'm gonna get it up in the air now and see what we've got to deal with on the underside of it. I've already noticed that the under trays hanging off it. You might be able to see it. It fell off the other day actually when I went through a massive puddle, and I sort of tucked it back up in there, but yeah, it's found its way down again. I think the anti-roll bar is disconnected, so the brackets are snapped, so when the car sort of flexes, the bar pushes down on the under tray. So jack it up and get going, because there's not a lot of sunlight this time of the year, so if there's any unwanted surprises, I need to go to Euro Car Parts or any of the parts stores and get things to fix it. So yeah, let's get going. Okay, she's on stands, so start taking off the under tray. It's hanging off anyway, as I was saying. Yeah, probably get the wheels off as well, because it does need brake pads. So let's get cracking. God bless power tools. I worked without them for many years, and that was a mistake. Right. It's the broken ones out, so it's only got one mount. Got a couple of freshies. £20 each from BMW. £40 for 2 brackets. I felt slightly robbed. Nice and shiny, new versus old. These are a little bit extended, as you can see, compared to the... Let's see if it actually fits around the poly bush. It's a nice and tight fit. Good. Get it up in there. Find the bloody nuts. Frickin' things always go everywhere. Threads are pretty clean, so I'm not even going to bother cleaning them. So far so good. Oh, that one's slightly bent, that stud. You can see how the studs are like not really perpendicular to the floor, because obviously they've been bent by the bracket and the anti-roll bar, so probably a good idea to try and straighten those out a little bit. Thread the nuts in. Make sure not to damage the actual threads. See if I can get a hammer up there. Okay, might need to get a big extension to try and reach it from another place. Yeah, that should just about do. That's a little bit better. Fucking thing slides around. Yeah, that's better. See how long these last. Be interesting. If this is a weak point in a stiffened up car. do them up with a gun, but then probably torque them up by hand. Pretty good. Alright, so that's the new brackets in place, tightened up. Look a bit better. Hopefully shouldn't move anymore. Seems pretty solid, so that's good. So yeah, that should be a good improvement. Take the wheels off now and see how the discs are doing, because yeah, pads need it, but do we need to replace the discs or not? What do you guys usually do? Do you always do discs and pads at the same time, or will you do a couple of sets of pads on one disc, see how lipped it gets? Not sure, I'll have to feel them out, give it the old, see how it is. Let's get these wheels off. Mental. I definitely didn't do them up that tight. You old kickaroo. Let's decide whether we need to change the discs or not. Obviously they're a bit wet and rusty, but don't know. Not too bad. There's a bit of a lip on. I'll have to see. If they're cheap, might as well, if I can get a good deal on some Brembos in Euro car parts. The warning light has come on. There is still a bit, which is why I haven't done it yet, but probably might as well. These coilovers are caked. It's the beauty of living in the village. All the mud. Probably give them a bit of a clean, see if I can get the threads somewhat clean. Yeah, you can see the new anti-roll bar bracket. It's pretty good. Should make a good difference. So I was fearing that the drop links might have broken, obviously, with the free play, but they're okay. It's not a bad car, you know, underneath. Obviously, I do run it somewhat low, especially with the high profile tyres in the winter, so it does rub and whatever, but you can replace these easily. It's the rear I'm a bit more concerned about, because obviously it's not replaceable. I'll have to grind it back and protect it hopefully this summer. But yeah, it's probably go to Euro car parts to get some brakes and continue this later on, or in the morning, depending on how much light I have. It's 2 o'clock I guess. It's already getting dark. But yeah, let's get going. Okay, so I couldn't actually get wheel speed sensors today. I'll have to order them online, so there's no point changing the brakes without doing the sensors. There is still a few good 1,000 miles on the pads, so it's not too much of an issue. The more important task for today was actually to change these anti-roll bar brackets, which I managed to. So I'm going to order the brake stuff and probably get onto it next weekend or at some point. I've put the under tray back on to OEM spec, of course, using good old cable ties, but who hasn't got cars held in by cable ties, huh? The screws are missing, so it's better this than just being sort of wedged in there, which has proved to fail last week. Yeah, she's all back together, wheels back on. Onto slightly more interesting things. This poor thing's been sat here for a year and a half, I think. So we moved to this house in September 22, and I just sort of dumped it there and haven't really moved it since. So it's currently just sitting under a lot of boxes and random stuff. The plan is to get this up and running for this summer, I hope, to do some sort of fun demos at least, test it out. It is supposed to be my competition car, which I was building for the British Drift Championship. Obviously in 2021 I went to the Foundation event, which is a licensing event for the BDC, or it was my first ever competition, and I came third and decided that my other Supra, which you'll see at some point, that was just a street car that I had with some cut knuckles and stuff, that was still all factory metal, so I didn't want to weld the cage into it and stuff, so I decided to search for a race car. That used to be the previous owner, Casey. He actually did the BDC many years ago and also did a King of Europe, I think. So this is sort of an FIA spec cage, so you see 2017 I think it was the last BDC he did. So the cage is very good. I bought it as a roller, empty, and I basically took the engine which you'll see buried in there, so 1.5J with a TD06, made like 350 horsepower. Really, yeah, that was all I needed, because I actually learned how to drift-ish. You know, my first sort of actual drift days were in my other Supra, which had this engine and gearbox. So I bought this car, just a shell, the cage, and the Wise Fab. So it's got Supra Wise Fab, of course, if you haven't noticed what car this is. Mark 4 Supra. Obviously the headlights probably give it away, but it's fairly stripped otherwise. So I did the engine swap in 2022 in the summer, and I haven't really done anything with it since. It's not very far from running. I've put the heater matrix from my other car in here and all the wiring from the other car. So last thing I did to this was run some wires from the fuel pump, which is in the boot, run it here and put a relay. So if I connect this to the battery, if I can get a battery in there and connect it up, it should crank. Yeah, obviously I need to go through all of it again. I haven't touched it for at least a year. I think the next step is to get things off the car and start going through. So I did have a list going of things to do, so I'll have to see where I ended, finish wiring the fuel pump, see if I can get it ignition on and the fuel pump to come on. Probably go through the engine, make sure everything's tight. I don't know what side projects I got lost in last time I was working on this, so just give it a once over, clean it all up, see if I can get it to crank, and then probably start putting it together and look at some testing. The body kit that the car had was not to my liking, so I need to see if I can get a solution. Ideally I'd get a kit from Rad Industries. I need to talk to Mr. Dan to see if he'll sell me one. That is, I guess, the end goal, but for now I might just run it on the old body kit or whatever, just to test it, and then once it comes to body work and painting, then I'll need to make a decision on what I want to run. You know, this is my sort of ultimate project. At the moment I'm going to keep it fairly simple, same engine setup. It's not forged or anything, it's just a GTE bottom end, so they're pretty strong. They're forged from factory supposedly. Obviously the pistons are maybe the weak point, but up to 500, 600, 700 horsepower shouldn't be a problem. Obviously the 1J head I think sounds great. I really like 1.5, so I'll probably keep it like that. The only things I might need to change is the turbo and everything that goes with it, because that TD06 is a little bit tired. The shaft has got some play, but it doesn't smoke, so it sounds mega because it's a Greddy TD06. So I really like it. Probably run it like this for this year, make sure it runs and make sure that nothing has changed since the last time the engine run in the other car, because it was very reliable. So get it back to running condition, clean it all up, probably take it out. I've never driven a Wise Fab car in real life, so that's going to be something to look forward to, I guess. I think that's enough for today. Might start cleaning some of this up, but pick the camera back up at some point when I've started work, and then maybe do a sit rep on the project. And yeah, thanks for watching. This has been a productive day. Done some things to the daily which usually gets neglected, and yeah, I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.